In this video, I'm going to be talking about my hands-on impressions with Hell Is Us. This is a game that I got to play back in August at Gamescom, but I've actually been under NDA for over a month, if you can believe that. And if you remember in our first Phantom Blade Zero video from Gamescom, I mentioned there was a game that I really enjoyed from the event that I couldn't talk about. This is the game that I was referring to. So let's get into the basics of what Hell Is Us is before we get into the details. And Hell Is Us is essentially a single-player action-adventure, semi-open world experience. And this is a genre that you don't see too much on our channel. We'll cover a lot of AAA titles sometimes that fall under this category, like Death Stranding and things like that. But we typically don't, stray too far from the RPG wheelhouse. And in fact, I went to see this game at the behest of a friend of mine whose partner is the creative lead on this project. And I was thinking, okay, I'll do you this favor and I'll go check it out, and that will be that. But I actually had a really magical experience playing this game, and I'll try and explain to you in this video just why that is, because I don't think it's quite apparent just from watching the gameplay. So the general story and setting of this game is that you're in a fictional version of Earth where when you were a small child, you were separated from your family and taken from your country because you were basically in the middle of a civil war and your parents smuggled you out in order to save you from potential death. And many years later, as a grown adult, you've actually joined peacekeeping forces of the world, and you're going back to your country as part of those peacekeeping forces. You don't know what happened to your family after you were separated. It's been many years, and you decide that you need to go find out what happened to them, so you kind of decide to desert the peacekeeping forces, go into this battle zone, and see what's going on. And Hell Is Us is a very dark game. The themes are very dark and mature. You're going into a war-torn area as a deserter, and running into people from your own faction is probably a bad idea. Running into people from the other faction that are trying to keep you out is probably a bad idea. So you really don't have a lot of friends in this place, and you run into people that are just trying to survive, and you sort of become one of them yourself. So when I started playing Hell Is Us, I didn't really know what I was in for, and I was thinking, what's the hook here? Why would people play this game that's very dark? It's upsetting, all these horrible things are happening. Who would just play through this to just get through it? And that's when you kind of stumble upon what Hell Is Us really is. Hell Is Us is not just about the discovery of what happened to your family, making your way through this landscape. It's about unraveling the mystery of supernatural events that are occurring in this area that you stumble upon early on in the game and send the game in a completely different direction than you originally began. And I don't want to get into too many details because, again, the story is a huge part of this game. But it just takes you on a roller coaster ride that you were not expecting at all. And I really struggle, and this is something I sat and talked to the creative director about, was how would I describe this game to people? It really spoke to me when I was playing it, but how do I translate what I love about this game to other people in a way that they can understand from just looking at gameplay and hearing what I'm saying? And it's very difficult to do. But I feel like the journey that you go on is something like the equivalent of Stranger Things, or maybe even Lost, minus the horrible ending to that show. But in those shows, you kind of started in one direction and then suddenly realized you were going in a completely different direction than you originally thought you were going, and it was a very pleasant surprise, and it just added a lot of depth to something that I thought was going to maybe be surface level. And something that I really enjoy about Hell Is Us when playing, and this is a game that, when I went into play, I'm sitting there with the computer, I have a headset on, I have this widescreen monitor, just a few of us playing in this room. And, Gamescom is a very loud convention, right? So when you're sitting there playing, you can usually hear the convention in the background. But it was the only time the entire game show when I was there for, just under a week that I forgot I was at a game show. I was literally playing. I was completely immersed into this game. And it made me forget that I was at a game show and I was playing a game. And even Phantom Blade Zero didn't do that. As good as that game was, it didn't do that for me. But this game did. I think that speaks volumes. And I think one of the reasons for that is that the game has no map, it has no compass, there are no quest markers, there is a minimal HUD, so you just get tons and tons of immersion when playing because you're just focused on what you can see. You're listening to what people are saying, you're trying to remember where you went and how you got to where you are in case you need to backtrack and things like that. So you're totally focused on and immersed in what you're playing, and you're not being disrupted or pulled out of that immersion by anything. Even thousands of, very loud people in the background didn't pull me out of that immersion. And mechanically, you're controlling your character through the game, you're talking to people, inquiring about information, and there are quests to do, and there are puzzles to solve, and there's lots of exploration. And the exploration part is the best part of the game. When my time was up to stop playing, I wanted to finish this exploration puzzle that I was doing. I was like 80% of the way through. So I was like, just a minute. Let me finish this puzzle, because I was really invested and I wanted to see what happened, because the mystery of the game is propelling you to do these things so you see what's on the other side of that door or what's down that tunnel that you can't quite get through. You're being pulled through by, that really need to know and understand what's happening that I feel like is really human. And there are a lot of places in the game that initially when you pass by, you won't be able to complete the puzzle, or you won't be able to figure out what you're doing and you'll have to come back. So like remembering where to go and what you need to pick up to put in where is a big part of the game. And, you kind of got to put on your big boy pants a little bit when playing this game, because it doesn't hold your hand. And that's something that I absolutely love. In a day and age where games just hold your hand more and more, this game is really, really hands-off and lets you explore at your own pace and do what you want to do. You don't have to explore everything. But it makes you feel rewarded when you solve, some sort of exploration puzzle. It's pretty common this day and age to play a game that's challenging from a combat perspective, where you fight a tough boss or a tough combat encounter and complete it, and you feel really rewarded for doing that. You have this great sense of like, oh, I got through it, I'm proud of myself. But it's exceedingly rare to find that in a game when it comes to exploration. Very, very few games out there make you feel rewarded for the exploration that you do. The last one that really comes to my mind is Elden Ring. But this game makes you feel very, very rewarded for exploring, and I really love that about this game. Now, of course, exploration isn't the only thing, and questing isn't the only thing you're doing in this game. There is combat, and I would kind of sum up the combat as an action RPG style. You kind of have like a stamina management system. You have skills that you can use. You're like dodging, parrying attacks, and attacking. It's not going to be unfamiliar to you if you've watched any action RPG gameplay or seen any of the games we cover on this channel. There are different weapons you can choose from with different movesets and different skills, and you can upgrade these. And there are, if I remember right, there's equipment that you can get that have bonuses to them that can kind of put together a build for you in the combat sense. And it definitely has some customization elements to it, which I really appreciate. There's also a drone that you can use in combat. You can send out to like stun an enemy if you're fighting another enemy, or to do certain things in combat to help you out. You definitely use technology in the game to get through combat scenarios as well as use it in exploring, and I like that. But combat is definitely not the strongest part of Hell is Us. It's definitely the weakest aspect of the game. That's not to say that it's bad, because I absolutely enjoyed the combat encounters through the game, and there are a significant number of them that seem to increase the further into the game that you go. But if I had to say, here's one thing that this game could work on before release, it would definitely be the combat. And I wouldn't say to somebody, oh, you're looking for a great combat game, go play Hell is Us. The draw to Hell is Us is easily the story, the world, and the exploration, and the kind of setting, the way the story is told. And the combat is a bit of a bonus to that, but it's certainly not the draw of the game. And then obviously talking about visually and audially of the game, the stylization of the game is great. I love the visuals of this game. This is not a AAA project by any means, but it still looks really good. It played really well. Performance wasn't an issue for me while playing, so hopefully that means we won't have performance issues. I only got to play about an hour, so it's not like I played a ton of the game, but I got shown like different areas of the game by the creative director and everything like that, and it seemed to run pretty well in my opinion. I know that's something that people are concerned about, so hopefully that keeps going. Audio-wise, the voice acting seemed good enough. I wouldn't say it's the best voice acting I've ever heard, but it's certainly not the worst, particularly for a non-AAA project. It was good. The music is good. It kind of makes the mood. And overall, the whole package of Hell is Us is just something that I didn't know that I needed. And once I started playing, I didn't want to stop playing. And in fact, I came back later and got to see more of the game, etc. And it's one that I'm really keeping my eye on, despite the fact that we don't really do a lot of action-adventure over here at Fextra Life. It's one that just kind of transcends genres and makes me want to play anyway. So that wraps up our video on Hell is Us. This is a game that I've been really wanting to talk a bit about for a while, and I know it's not a game we would normally cover on this channel, but for some reason this game absolutely captivated me when I was at Gamescom, and it's a game that I just cannot wait to play again. I hope I did it justice in this video, but it's very hard to articulate exactly why this game is so interesting and so intriguing. And I feel like when you look at the gameplay footage, it's hard to discern that, because you might be seeing it going, well, this looks interesting, but I don't see exactly what you're saying. And it has that thing that I think is missing in a lot of games. There's something about this game that just absolutely caught me and wouldn't let me go. And I hope I've done a good enough job of explaining why that is. But if I haven't, stay tuned because we'll probably have more videos in the future where I do a better job at doing that. So what do you guys make of Hell Is Us? Is this a game that you'll be keeping track of? Have you heard of it before? Did you guys see it at State of Play? What do you make of it? Let me know in the comments below.